Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome to our morning Srīmad Bhagavatam study session and glorification. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Devaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Kadamba Kanana Swamin Niti Namine Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivas Adi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna. Please, we are reading from Canto 2, Chapter 5, The Cause of All Causes, text 31 to 531. Aijashatu vikurvanat indriyani dasha bhavan jnana shakti kriya shakti buddhi pranas sattaijasho srotram tvakrina drik Vaktor medrangri payavaha Taija sattu vikurvanat indriyani dasa bhavan jnana shakti kriya shakti buddhi pranas taijasho shrotram tvagrinana drikjiva vaktor medrangri payava Taija sattu vikurvanat Indriyani dasha bhavan jnana shakti kriya shakti buddhi pranasatai jasho shrotram tvagranadrikjiva vagdor medrangri payava. Synonyms, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Synonyms. Taijasha, the passionate egoism. 2. But Vikurvana, transformation of. Indriyani, the senses. Rasa, 10. Abhavan, generated. Jnana Shakti, the 5 senses for acquiring knowledge. Can you go back on the synonyms, Mataji? Jnana Shakti, the 5 senses for acquiring knowledge. Kriya Shakti, the 5 senses of activities. Buddhi, intelligence. Prana, the living energy. Cha, also. Taijasho, all products of the mode of passion. Shrotram, the sense for hearing. Tvak, the sense for touching. Rana, the sense of smelling. Drik, the sense for seeing. Jiva, the sense for tasting. Vak, the sense for speaking. Do, the sense for handling. Medra, the genitals. Angri, the legs. Payavaha, the sense for evacuating. Translation. By further transformation of the mode of passion, the sense organs like the air, skin, nose, eyes, tongue, mouth, hands, genitals, legs, and the outlet for evacuating, together with intelligence and living energy, are all generated. Purport. The living condition in material existence depends more or less on one's intelligence and powerful living energy. Intelligence to counteract the hard struggle for existence is assisted by the senses for acquiring knowledge, and the living energy maintains himself by manipulating the active organs, like the hands and legs. But on the whole, the struggle for existence is an exertion of the mode of passion. Therefore, all the sense organs, headed by intelligence, and the living energy, prana, are different products and byproducts of the second mode of nature, called passion. This mode of passion, however, is the product of the air element as described before. Om Ajnanaatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatab Aham Vande Shri Guru Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. So, the translation again. By further transformation of the mode of passion, the sense organs like the ear, skin, nose, eyes, tongue, mouth, hands, genitals, legs, and the outlet for evacuating, together with intelligence and living energy, are all generated. So, this is a nice series of verses which from chapter 5, which is dealing with the aspects of Sarga, primary creation, which is created by the Supreme Lord. And we know that in creation there are two aspects. One is primary creation and another is secondary creation. So the primary creation, everything is manifested by the Supreme Lord, Vishnu, ultimately Krishna, in one of his multiple expansions, Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, Shirodakashaya Vishnu, Karnodakashaya Vishnu, all these original Purushas coming from Krishna, they are the original cause for the initial ingredients and whatever items, whatever ingredients that are required for the world to work, they're coming from them. And that's how things work in the material world. Like if we consider any manufacturing business or any establishment, so to speak of, in this material world, like if you set up a business or you set up an institution, any company, it always uses some raw ingredients, some forces, some energy. So when Lord Brahma is actually beginning this task of the secondary creation, he is also needing some ingredients, some raw ingredients to work with. So the Lord here is manifesting all those ingredients. And this part is being described by Lord Brahma, because Lord Brahma is explaining how actually he is not the supreme. He is actually the secondary creator. Because, usually we see that Brahma is actually accepted as the creator in the universe. And Brahmaji is saying that's not the full story. And he's explaining that the creation takes place once he has the ingredients, once the primary creation is done. So this is a nice mood to have. He's giving this due acknowledgement to his predecessors. So prior to any activity or that we may perform, even if that activity is very powerful, we should always acknowledge the work that was done by others before. We can see this, we can draw this similarity when we are trying to preach to someone in our attempt to bring people to Krishna consciousness. We may think that, oh, I distributed a book to this person, or I went on Harinam, I held this program, and that's why this person became a devotee. But in actuality, a lot happened before, a lot happened before that person could come to this stage, to be able to take that book, to be able to come to a program like that, or to be able to talk to us. So before someone actually becomes a devotee, before someone develops this, this right to, or this adhikar to become attracted to spiritual life, they may have done a great deal in previous life. They may have done a lot in previous life, either by the assistance of some great persons, some great devotees, by Supreme Lord's mercy. So we should always see ourselves just as a nothing more than an instrument, just as a nimitta matra, just a subservient instrument in this big scheme of Lord's plan. And Brahmaji here has a lot to do. He has to manifest the universe. He has to make a suitable environment for all the living entities. And it's not an easy thing. Just to imagine, just to establish a temple is extremely difficult. A political institution or anything that we start up, it's so difficult. And imagine the task of Lord Brahma. He has to set up the entire universe, the planetary system, and then to manifest all these conditions that the spirit souls can also enter into the relevant bodies, all the species of life, and using that the creation of the Lord, primary creation ingredients, and then make them accessible. So when Brahmaji is creating, we have to understand that there is this, he is using a blueprint. He is using like a plan, and he's working according to the plan of Krishna. Krishna has already thought of this world. He has made this blueprint, and Lord Brahma is following it. Like in today's verse, we are seeing that how from the mode of passion, the sense organs are coming. The sense organs are manifesting. So, and why is that needed? Because so that it is suitable for the living entity to interact within the material world. Because if we actually see, the living entities are in a very odd position. The jiva is spiritual by nature. Mamai vamsha jiva loke, jiva bhuta sanatana. My amsha, this little spark of spiritual energy is my amsha, Krishna is saying. So we are part of Krishna. The problem is when this living entity, this spark of spiritual energy is deciding to be independent from the Lord and decides to control something, decides to to lord it over something, then the Lord has to create something. And that something is this material world, this material nature, this prakriti, which is exactly opposite of the living entity, because the living entity is Satchidananda, full of eternity, full of bliss, full of knowledge. So by definition, this world is the opposite, because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Dukhalaya Shashvatam, this is temporary, this is full of miseries. It's exactly opposite. But because that's what we wanted a situation where we could control something. So Krishna has to create something inferior to be able to function, so that we can function in this world. So therefore, there is this whole packaging around us, like we are a spirit floating around in the world of matter, but we cannot do anything because spirit is spirit, and matter is the opposite of the spirit. It has exactly the opposite properties. So the whole series of this layers is created in our around our soul. We have the subtle body, we have this false ego, mind, intelligence. Then we have the gross body, and then the senses that are described here. So Krishna has to create all these layers around us. So imagine just this is such an elaborate creation. And that's happening with every living entity, with every species. And there are innumerable living entities. Krishna is such an engineer in order to facilitate us, in order to so that we can function in this material world. He has given us all this, all these layering. So Krishna has thought over it. He has contemplated over it. It's not that Brahmaji is suddenly deciding that, oh, this species should have sense of hearing, or I have to give now sense of sight, sense of touch. No, Lord Brahma is just taking, he's just following Krishna. He's taking the plan, he's taking the blueprint, which is designed by Krishna, and then he's acting accordingly, that plan of Krishna. So Krishna has energized these, activated these concepts in the world, and then Lord Brahma is working around with the specific, by giving us specific organs, specific situation. So some of the things that are mentioned here, the first thing that's mentioned here is that from the mode of passion transforms into these sense organs. And in this word, the Prabhupada uses the sense. It's not how Prabhupada has used this word sense before. The sense is here, the common usage of sense, we think that, oh, it's sense of touch, sense of smell, sense of sight, sense of hearing. So it's like an activity. But the way it's described here in this particular verse, Indriya refers to actual instrument, actual organ. So how we read out as a part of translation in that Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti. That means there are two types of indriyas. One is Jnana Indriya and another is Karma Indriya. So Indriya in the word itself is, in this particular context, in this particular verse, we can think that it is using as an instrument. So there are Jnana Indriya, which are knowledge acquiring instruments. So my eyes, like this, any sensory experience that we are experiencing, that comes through Jnana Indriya, knowledge acquiring instruments. And then we have the Karma Indriya, by which we are acting. So the knowledge acquiring instrument is giving us the sensory experience, like the eyes, the ears, the tongue, the skin, the nose. These are the organs by which we experience the world around us, like fragrance or any sound, any sight that we see. And this is how we are receiving information. But to be able to act, act in this world, based on the information that we have received through the Jnana Indriya, we have these active organs, like the hands. We can do things with the legs, like our reproductive system, speech. These are all active components that allow us to interact within this world. And just imagine if any of this is missing, if we just have Jnana Indriya, we don't have Karma Indriya, then we are like tree, because tree can feel everything, but it cannot act. It does not have hands, it does not have legs, it does not have the power of speech. And if we just have Karma Indriya, but we don't have Jnana Indriya, then we are like a robot. So both are important. And the way Krishna has designed this, it's such a masterpiece. He's given us the 5 ways to receive information, and then the 5 ways to express this information. If there would be no, and it's working perfectly. Like the way, if you don't have any fragrance, then what is the need of the nose? If there is no sight, then what is the need of the eyes? So the whole thing is like, it's a masterpiece that Krishna has designed. So when the scientists say that they propose this idea of evolution, that we evolved eventually, it doesn't make any sense, because this is something already created by Krishna. This is something Krishna has already given us, what we need to be able to function in this world. And then here it is saying that the intelligence is involved. Together with all these senses, the intelligence and the living energy are generated. So there are 2 types of energy, 2 types of intelligence that we can refer to here. One is Lord's intelligence, and then other is Lord Brahma's intelligence. So from the mode of passion, these different items arise. And how it is saying that living energy, living entity is is also coming from this. Living energy is also coming. Living energy is also generated. So living energy is translated as prana. And you know how we see that there are 5 types of life air in the body. And the soul basically is floating in these airs. Prabhupada used somewhere, Srila Prabhupada used this term somewhere, that the soul floats within these airs and they carry out different functions. So the organs interact with these airs. And we see in the science of Ayurveda, it's all about balancing these airs. When these airs go out of balance, then there is some problem. There is a disease. And Prabhupada one time in the purport, he mentioned that when there is imbalance of air, then one can suffer from different types of mental diseases also. Because for mental equilibrium, for mental steadiness, we need all these airs to be functioning properly in balance. And of course, these organs also suffer on sometimes physical types of diseases also, right? We get some physical diseases also. And, we see that how when we are diseased, yes, of course, medicine has progressed a lot. It has made a lot of advancement, but it is dealing with the gross type of gross. It's always working on this gross body. So it's not that it's not working yet on the mental energy or the internal energy. Bhagavad Gita explains that there are 5 elements. Bhumir apo nalo vayu kama mano buddhire vacha ahankara iti yamme bhinna prakriti ashtara. That there are, Krishna is saying that there are 8 elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether, and then mind, intelligence, and false ego. And all together, they constitute his spiritual, separated material energy. So like that, like Bhagavatam, it's quite interesting that Bhagavatam is going into detail of these elements because it is describing that how mode of passion is coming, these modes are created, then the sense organs are working. And in Bhagavad Gita, in the next verse, Krishna says that aparayam itastva anyam prakritim viddhi me param jiva bhutam mahabhavo yayedam dharyate jagat. So apart from these 8 elements, 8 separated material energy that Krishna is talking about, Krishna is saying that there is also a superior energy. Besides these, he's saying, oh Arjuna, there is a superior energy of mind which comprises the Jiva Bhuta Mahabhava. Jiva Bhuta Mahabhava means powerful. So superior to these 5 elements and these 3 subtle elements, there is something else. There is a Jiva, the soul, which is Mahabhava, more powerful than any of these elements. And the real purpose of this this entire facilitation of this vehicle, of this body, these components, these elements, it is all made in order so that it can facilitate the highest thing, which is Jiva. So we are the highest thing. It is said in Bhagavad Gita that Indriyani parani aha indriyabhya param mana manasastu para buddhir yo buddhi paratastu. So that means the senses, they are superior to the dull matter. Then the mind is superior to the senses. But then the intelligence is superior to the mind. And then ultimately the soul is superior to all these. So Gita is giving us, Bhagavad Gita is giving us this hierarchy of how the Jiva is the highest, the soul is the highest. Because, and of course, it's also giving us some details of matter, because everything that we are doing is surviving in matter. The whole Prakriti, the matter is all around us, right? Prakriti is all around us. One of the 5 topics of Gita is Prakriti. So when Bhagavatam is going through these details, we have been hearing about this particular section of Bhagavatam, which is giving us these details about how cosmic manifestation is coming, when modes are created, how the sense organs are working. But it's giving in a very overview style. It's not going very detailed, Bhagavatam, because the goal of Bhagavatam is not to make us a professor or in physics, or to make us a professor in this material world. The goal of Bhagavatam is to give us bhakti, to get out of this material world. So it is only giving us the information that is needed for us. It's not giving us a detailed information, because there are other scriptures for that. There are other manuals. There are other shastras written for example, there's a shastra for learning instrument, learning like fighting, for shastras for fighting. But Bhagavatam's goal is to give us bhakti. Therefore, Bhagavatam is only giving us an overview. It's not giving us a detailed description. It's not a physics manual, so to speak of. It's only giving us some knowledge about the seed knowledge on multiple topics. And then it is saying that this knowledge is, when it is expanded with the correct intelligence, then we can go back to Krishna. So Bhagavatam is giving us in a way which emphasizes the spiritual aspect. So when we read these descriptions, we understand that how complex this whole structure around the soul is, how complex we are as beings. We understand that what we are made of, and we understand ultimately that through Bhagavatam that what is our purpose. Because see, anything that's created, a car is created in this material world, it has a purpose. A plane is created in this material world, it has a purpose. So similarly, this body that Krishna has given us, this machine was created for a purpose. This entire cosmic manifestation is facilitating us for a purpose. And like if we understand this purpose, if we understand this human purpose, then we can fulfill that purpose, right? How Prahlad Maharaj says in 7th Canto, Nate vidu swartha gatim hi Vishnu durashaya ye bahirarthamanina andhaya thande upaniyamana tepi shatantram murudami baddha. Nate vidu swartha gatim hi Vishnu. What is Prahlad Maharaj saying here is that I'll first read the translation of this. It says, persons who are strongly entrapped by the consciousness of enjoying material life, who have therefore accepted as their leader or guru a similar blind man attached to external sense object, cannot understand the goal of life is to return home, back to Godhead, and engage in the service of Lord Vishnu. So they cannot understand that our gati is Vishnu. So Prahlad Maharaj is explaining that in this world, people by nature are desirous of attaining sense objects, bahir. They are interested in external things. So bahir refers to all the sense objects in this world that we have. And what happens is, a person who is attracted to sense objects, sense enjoyment, then his tendency is he will accept someone, accept a guru who themselves is attracted to sense objects. And in this case, when a person who's attracted to sense objects is also aspiring for a guru who's attracted to sense objects, then what is the success? There is no success, because it's like, the analogy is given here that a blind man is leading a blind man. A blind man is basically taking shelter of another blind man, and that blind man is leading them and it's directing them. So what is the success? They've all fall into a ditch. They both fall into a ditch. When a blind man is leading a blind man, they straight go into the ditch. There is no success. There is no progress achieved. And then, so what happens when this happens? When someone is taking shelter of someone who is themselves attached, to the sense objects. Prabhupada translates in this particular verse, he translates that they are bound by the ropes of the fruitive labor. So when they are bound by the ropes of the fruitive labor, what is happening is again and again, life after life, they are coming in this sansara chakra. There is no way out because a blind man is leading a blind man. So there is no meaning in accepting a guru, a teacher, an instructor who is themselves attached to sense enjoyment. Like, in our life also, if we see, if at all we are trying to, convince our children to, have a good company in school, we will always tell them that, look for people who are well in studies, who are doing well in studies. Because there, of course, the chances are not that they are also going to be perfect. But when they have, a good company, then the chances of our children also progressing in their life, in their education, is higher. Because when we are associating with people who aspire to be, to do better in life, then our aspirations also become like that. But in this case, if it's a blind man leading a blind man, Yathander, Anda is leading, a blind man is leading a blind man. So there is no progress as such. And, like in this is an example that I've given, but if we actually see the 5 senses that we have, or the 5 karmendriya, the 5 gyanendriya, all these senses, they are kind of working for us to, our default nature is that we want to acquire sense objects. And that's one of the challenges. But one of the purpose of human life is that we have to demonstrate that we want to move beyond this. We want to move beyond the sense objects. We have to have a bigger vision. If we actually see the day we were born, from that day we have been chasing sense objects. If we see a baby, and if you actually show baby a rattle, how the baby is trying to catch. If you put things around baby and they try to grab things. Until date, we are just grabbing things. So when we are, when we are chasing sense objects, then there's no way out. Like in Nectar of Instruction, it is said, explain that a person who is actually qualified to lead others is a person who is themselves able to control the different urges. Vacho vegam, manasa krodha vegam, jiva vegam, udaro pashta vegam, etan vegan yo visheta dhira, sarvam apimam prithvim sashishya. That a person, only one can become a spiritual master for the entire world when they are able to control their own urges. And this is a prime requisite that anyone who can take us out of this world is not trapped in the world themselves. Now, of course, it's not that, when we hear what Rupa Goswami is saying in Nectar of Instruction, that a person has to, you can only be guru when you have mastered this art of controlling your urges. It doesn't mean that, I have now, because I have a long way to go, because I'm not free from attachments yet, therefore I cannot preach, or I cannot talk to people, or I cannot convince people. No, we all are work in progress. It doesn't mean that we stop preaching. It doesn't mean that we don't go out and distribute books. What it means is that we can repeat the message of our acharyas to the extent that we understand, to the extent that is possible for us. And at the same time, we also try to practice that. We also try to be able to practice what we are preaching. Then that becomes easy. That's why, we see that how devotees try to keep their life simple. But of course, as we have seen that we still end up end up having tons of items around us, tons of objects around us, tons of this dravya shakti, this energy, this power that produces, that manifest objects. It is so strong. And even we see in our lives also, in the room that you're sitting, there may be so many things. In the room that I am sitting, there are so many things that I don't need it, but I still have them. I have this attachment. This Dravya Shakti is so powerful that it is actually enticing me to have all these things. It makes me believe that no, I need this. But how, the other day, Sagira Prabhu was mentioning the reference from Bhagavatam that we don't need, when we have our hand, we don't need pillows. When there is earth, then we don't need a bed. But of course, we also have to not renounce everything and then end up being mad eventually. But we have to, but eventually there should be a desire that what I am practicing, what I'm preaching, I'm also able to practice. That desire has to be there. Even though we are surrounded by this, this material energy, which is so powerful, but there's this one ultimate person. There is this one person who can cut down all our attachments, all the knots of the attachments. When the living entity is trying to come close towards Krishna, then Krishna is cutting down that attachments. Krishna is, my Guru Maharaj used to say that every bite of prasadam that we are honoring, every time we are associating with the devotees, every time we are associating with Bhagavatam, it is actually, reducing the wall of illusion between us and Krishna. It is cutting the illusion. And Krishna is doing that. And through the holy name, that's Krishna's prime weapon. The holy name is Krishna's prime weapon. Just by the utterance of the holy name, we can disentangle all of our attachments. It's like a spaghetti. We are like, we have a spaghetti-like state. We are wrapped in a fork. This fork is the material world, and we are like a spaghetti. But with Krishna's, holy name, by this utterance, he can actually take us out of this complicated situation. And also, we have to try it ourselves. Internally, also, we try to we make our life simple. We don't try to artificially complicate things. We try to make life simple. We chant the holy name, we read scriptures, and then eventually, we see in scriptures, we have so many examples by the association of devotees, how Mrigari became a pure devotee. So like that, when we are, we are following the process of bhakti, but at the same time, we're also internalizing it. We're also making our life simple, trying to make our life simple. Like how with this holy name is so powerful, then we can cut this illusion. In Kevalashtakam, Nilakanta Goswami says that Abrahma payantam sarvamaya jagat satyam satyam punar satyam hare nameva keval. So what does this mean? That Brahma Stamba Paryantam, the entire universe, from the exalted Brahma down to the lowly clump of grass, we are all product of the illusory energy. And Satyam Punar Satyam, that the only thing that is reality in this world is that the holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything. That this Hare Krishna mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. It's actually the only reality. Further, in the last verse of Kevalashtakam, he says, Trina Kritya Jagat Sarvam Rajate Sakalo Pari Chittanandamayam Shuddham Hare Nameva Kevalam. what does this mean? The last verse of Kevalashtakam, Nilkanta Goswami says that this holy name is so powerful, it makes the entire universe seem insignificant as a blade of grass. And it is full of eternally conscious divine ecstasy. That means this holy name is so powerful. So, we have material desires. Imagine my material desires, your material desires, the material desires of the most ambitious person in this world, the material desire of the most wealthiest person in this world. The holy name is so powerful. It is so pure, that is, it makes everything insignificant as a blade of grass. So, this holy name of Sri Hari alone, it has that power. Why Narottam Das Thakur says that in the bhajan, Golokera prema dhana Harinama Sankirtana. So this Harinam Sankirtan is actually coming from Goloka, from the planet of Krishna. And it has the power to, so just imagine, this holy name is so powerful. Whatever we described, whatever we studied today, the layers of the human around us, the layers of the cosmic manifestation. With the holy name, the utterance of this holy name, it actually takes us out of that, out of this material world. It takes us out of this body, this gross body, this subtle body, and this cosmic creation, and just takes us out of and takes us to the planet of Krishna. So I'll stop here and see if anyone has any questions, any comments. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Granth-raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Mataji, Harekrishna.
Yes,
Thank you for a very nice class, beautiful class. So you talked about Batman, you talked about certain things that reminded me of Mahashivaratri today. Tonight. So, Lord Shiva is like the embodiment of, he's like, he looks like a madman. He doesn't have any material. He doesn't look very, very, very posh. Your class just reminded me of Mahashivaratri. So let's just pray to Lord Shiva that our true ego comes out and our false ego goes away. Hare Krishna.
Sharon, yes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji, for a very nice class. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you for a beautiful class. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you for the nice class. Thank you.